In today's video, I've got some world coins and banknotes that I picked up from one of my favorite dealers. I see him about 2 or 3 times every year. His name is Bill, and he is in the South Carolina area. I usually see him at the Tennessee State Numismatic Society show, but he shows up at the Georgia show, and I'm sure if you recognize these associations in your state, then he is probably going to be at your coin show also. And here's his email address in case you want to find out what shows he's going to be at. I like his business card here, how it looks like a $20 bill. So props to that. So we've got some coins and we've got some money, paper money that is. We're going to start with the coins in this video first. And we're going to rank them in how much I paid for everything. So we're going to start with, he has some foreign coins that he puts in a exchange for face value bucket. So that would include a Canadian dime. Let me zoom in on it. So the front looks a little bit different than what we would normally see on a Canadian 10-cent coin, but we flip it over and this is what makes it a one-year commemorative. This one is not particularly all that rare. This is about the third or fourth time I found it, but this one is going to be a one-year commemorative coin celebrating the United Nations International Year of the Volunteers. And we have these three ladies looking toward the left and sunshine at the bottom. And it has the Year of Volunteers written in English and French across that banner. This coin is only made in 2001. It's catalog number KM412. Flip it back over, and I do want to mention that it has a letter P mint mark. That means that it's plated. It doesn't stand for the letter of the city that it was minted, which was Winnipeg, at the Royal Canadian Mint. Next up, we have a coin from Panama, and I usually mention that coins in Panama are pegged to the United States currency. So this quarter of a Balboa is the same planchet that you would find on a United States quarter, but in 2003 it was a one-year commemorative featuring some ruins on this side. This is going to be the ruins of the cathedral at Panama Viejo. I'll also point out that the United States quarter of a dollar actually says $quarter on it, and many years the Panamanian says quarter Balboa. But on this one, instead of saying that, it says 25 or 25 centésimos. So that is something that they'll sometimes say a quarter Balboa and sometimes they'll say 25 cents on it, depending on the year. But this is a one-year commemorative coin, catalog KM135. So those first two coins came from a face value foreign coin bin. The next two come from a 5 for $1 or 25 cent each bin. And he's had some really good things that I've found there in the past. However, on the day that I got there, he had about fewer than 10 coins left in that bin. He said that he was completely wiped out on the first day of the show. I couldn't make it on Friday this year. I went on Saturday. But the next two coins I found were certainly worth it. We're going to start with a coin from China from 1662. That is correct, that I got this coin for 25 cents. And so the only thing stamped on here was China, the date. He had written the Qing Dynasty, sometimes called the Qing Dynasty, Qing. I guess that was originally a price of 80 cents, marked down to 25 cents. But this must have been an old flip. I like what someone had stamped on here in the past. All coins and currency are genuine as dated, guarantee. Which, I don't know how accurate that's going to be for some of these older Chinese coins, but at least someone at one point has stood behind this coin. So this one is, when you look at it, the characters on here say Kang Ti Tong Bao. And so that means this was under the reign of Emperor Shengzhou, who ruled from 1662 to 1722. And then we flip it over, and the characters on here are Bu Chowan, which stands for the Board of Revenue. That would have made this an empire-wide coin. And we flip it back over and find the specifics on here is it is the 7-stroke bay variety and the 2-dot tong variety. There are 2 dots right here. And so that helped me narrow down in the Hartle catalog which coin this was. So this 1 cash coin was made between the dates of 1662 and 1883. So it's one of the first ones that happened during the reign of Shengzhou. So in the Hartle catalog, it's in chapter 22, and it's coin number 85. So if you think it was amazing to find that for a quarter, wait till we see this next one. Has the same stamp on it here, another one from China, but this one is, at least according to the flip, it says it's from 220 BC. And yeah, it looks pretty ancient on here. So the first thing I thought was interesting here, someone originally tried to sell this for $11 and then $6.25, and then when that didn't sell, I got it for 25 cents. On here. So they also noted on here that they said a pan liang, or 1/2 of an ounce. So half an ounce isn't right, but pan liang, pan, sometimes they'll say ban, means half, and liang is a measurement. And the liang is a weight. So the ban liang is going to be approximately 8 grams. But over time, the weight on these coins changed. Sometimes it got a little bit larger, but in later years it got almost half the weight of 8 grams of bronze. And so when they put the year 220 BC on here, that is an approximation of when this currency was first used during the Western Han Dynasty. Back referencing the Hartle book again, this one's going to be in chapter 7. And after I looked it over for a while, I believe this is 7.29 for the catalog number on here. And so some of the ways that you can tell is it does have a slight rim. There are no characters here at the bottom or at the top that I can tell. The character right here looks like a sideways E. There are others where it's almost looks like an M on that character. And overall, the weight on here does appear to be a little bit lighter than some of the others. Not that I have had any to hold on to compare it to, but that makes it newer than 220 BC. It still would be about circa 136 to 119 BC if it really is catalog 7.29 in the Hartle catalog. But for 25 cents, I think that's pretty neat to find something like that. Probably, I do have some other ancient Chinese coins, but this one now might be my oldest one. I will point out that when you flip it over in the back, they weren't putting anything on the back of the coins at this time. At least I don't think that's anything right there. There was a couple versions of this coin where there was a moon or sun on one side, but I believe this side's just supposed to be blank. So, Dealer Bill here, in addition to his coins in a 25-cent bin, he also has coins in a $1 bin, and I had been through it recently, so I didn't go through that on this particular visit, but he also has some things in a case that are a little bit pricier, and I picked up a couple out of there. So this next one is going to be from Papua New Guinea. And so the head side of this coin is pretty normal to what we see on most of the Papua New Guinea coins. We have the bird of paradise standing on top of a spear and a kundu drum. And so I'm pointing that out on here because usually most of the New Guinea coins that I find are smaller than this one. But this one's a 50 toa coin, so it is a bigger planchet. We've got a little bit of colorized coin here. This was minted this way by their mint, so this is not something that was an aftermarket colorization, but it is a one-year commemorative coin from 2008. As it says around here, is the 35th anniversary of the Bank of Papua New Guinea. Catalog KM54, nickel steel on the metal. I did pay $1 for it. And in the middle there, it has a colorized center applique of the bank logo. So I don't have colorized coins from too many countries. I have a few from Canada and then a couple from Panama, from their Panama Canal series, but this might be the third country that I have a colorized coin from. There's one more coin in this video until we get to the banknotes, and that's going to be from the Principality of Andorra. This is certainly a country that you don't find very often. This one is from 2002. This is going to end up being a 1 centum coin. They made 3 different 1 centum coins this year in 2002. It's going to be KM 178. It is aluminum. And as we look at what's on here, it has Agnus Dei, which is, if you're not familiar with Catholicism or that religious phrase, it stands for Lamb of God in Latin. So the depiction here is supposed to be a Catholic representation of the Lamb of God. So we have a lamb facing to the left, and then around the head, like a lot of Catholicism artwork, it has the head covered in not a halo, but I guess it's kind of a corona, which it would illuminate the head. And then, of course, a cross on here as well. So a lot of religious symbolism on this coin from Andorra. Now we'll move on to the banknotes. So our first banknote is going to be this one from Yugoslavia, and this features a Bosnian metal worker at a blast furnace. And the way that they can be so certain on what this is it comes from an iconic 1954 photo that was then used in this design for this banknote, which was made from 1968 through 1981. So these notes tend to be made with the catalog number, and since I only paid $0.25 for it, I actually am probably going to pull this banknote out of here and reuse this holder for something that a little bit nicer that I want to hold on to. But there is the catalog number of 87B. This one was made in 1981, and yes, this one has a date right here at the bottom. Flip this one over, and this has the design of a lot of the Yugoslavian notes from about this time. And it did have a security thread that runs through it here on the right side. Fairly easy to see, kind of raised on there. Next up from Argentina, we have a 500 pesos featuring a portrait of General San Martin. There are some older versions of this note which has the law that reference the authorization of this note written right here. There's 2 different versions of that. This one has a date of 1982, and since it's Series D, catalog number on this one's going to be 303C. This one has a watermark on it that's not in one specific spot, but kind of repeats through here. And so the best one you can see on here is actually underneath paper on the left here. So it's the radiant sun, or I guess they call it a sunburst. Then we flip this one over, and it has Zoom in on some elements here. There is a symbol that we see on a lot of Argentinian coins. But the prominent feature on the back is it has Cerro de la Gloria of Mendoza. So that is essentially the Hill of Glory in the town of Mendoza. So this is a monument to the Army of the Andes. And I'll come back later at the end of the video and show off some ultraviolet blacklight features of this note. Next we have a 500 lira from Italy. The note up here is a little bit off. But on this note we have the figure of Mercury looking to the left. This was made from 1974 to 79. The sticker said 1976, but it really is 79 on here. So the catalog number is 94. There is a spot for the watermark here in the circle on the top, and we have the Italian emblem, which is a star inside of a reef. We flip this one over, and it features what they call allegorical figures. And so we have a large 500 on the back of this note. And we'll move on. Next up we have a note from Venezuela. This is a 5 or 5 bolívares. And like all the Venezuelan notes, it is going to feature Simon Bolivar on the left as their liberator, but we get a second portrait on this one featuring Francisco de Miranda, and it is from 1989. The catalog number is 70B. Down here we have an 8-digit serial number, so that's why there is a B in 70B. There's some older versions that were only a 7-digit serial number. And as we flip this one over, now this features the National Pantheon. Let me get a closer look at that. And one thing I found interesting was it had all of these, the security threads were mostly down the middle of this note. Next up is a note from Peru. This one features Ricardo Palma on the note. It is from 1987, and the value is 10 intis. And that was a currency that Peru used from 1985 to 1991. Catalog number on here is 129. There is a version 128 that was made by the De La Rue printers, but this one was made by the printers out of Rome. And so it has a different catalog number. One of the biggest differences is what happens under a blacklight, which I'll show later. But on here we have a watermark of also of Palma on here. He is apparently a writer. And then another feature on here is it's kind of hard to see, but there is a little bit of blue that's underneath the red. So if you were to shine a red light on here, it would make it where you couldn't see all the red lines on here, and it would show up and say 10 Peru 10. So that's kind of hidden where you can only see that when you shine a red light onto it. As we flip this one over, we have a farmer and then a lady in a cotton field. For a final note, we'll move on to a note from Colombia. This is a 1 peso oro, and like a lot of these countries in the area, we have Bolivar on the left, but this time we have General Santander on the right. This note is dated right here, 1961, but it was made from 1959 through 77. There are some security threads which run through this note that was stopped in 1966. This one is catalog 404B, and as we flip this one over, I like the design here. I like the Condor, even though usually Condors make me think of Chile. But above the Condor, we have essentially the Colombia version of Lady Liberty on here. And then behind this portrait, we have a neat scene of a waterfall and a mountain. So now that we've looked at all of the notes, let's take a moment to see what you can see under a black light on these notes. Now, some of the notes of this video don't do anything under a black light. This 500 from Argentina does have a few light-up security threads on it. And then the 5 Bolívares from Venezuela, all these security threads that we saw in the middle light up and in different colors. So we have kind of a greenish look, but we also have more of a reddish look on some of those security threads. So that's kind of a neat feature when you have different colors on here. I do think it's interesting how they're all in the middle. So I don't know if they did that because it's cheaper or because they thought it would be harder to replicate having the threads only in the middle. This original note from Yugoslavia, the security stripe, well, they have some glowing threads also, but their security stripe through it also grows green, and then take a closer look, there must be actually words that don't glow or printed on top of the ability for it to glow. But the one I wanted to focus on the most was the one from Peru, and I said it did different things under a black light. It does have the colorful threads through it, like some of the others that we've seen. The one that was made, the version made by the Thomas LaRue company, De LaRue, would have a large tin which would appear in the middle here, visible under a black light. But this one doesn't have that. Instead, this area that says Central Bank of Peru lights up in kind of a blue color. And then lower on the note, this area down here also lights up. And so as I turn the regular light back on, it has a little bit of a different look. It's a different shade of blue without the black light on it. But you add the black light and it kind of glows just a little bit. Alright, thanks for watching. I do have, I usually make videos about foreign coins, but since I got some notes from this dealer, I decided to make a video of both of those. So I have a playlist here at the end for both foreign coins and for my banknote videos, depending on which one you'd rather see next. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.